Hello, this is Mrs. Duncan, and I'm going over how to use a Criterion account if you have never used one before. We use these for revising. It's instant feedback on your drafts, but it does not help you with content. So you have to get an instructor review on a draft and peer review so you know if your ideas are coming across, if it's structured clearly. But this tool we have found to be very helpful for students in making corrections on kind of smaller scale things, subject-verb agreement, maybe pronoun usage, catching run-on sentences or fragments. It's very, very helpful. So we do require it. We do give an assignment grade for using Criterion, and that information will be in Blackboard from me and from your instructor. So you do have to set up your account, and you need to get your access code, but I'm going to use a couple different tools. I want to show you some things on this page. First of all, the quick links, you have to make sure your computer's compatible. There's usually not too many issues with that. It's pretty simple. Up in the top right are client services, and that's where you go for any kind of issue that you have with the account. Something isn't letting you in or whatever. This is an outside vendor. I can't help you fix those issues, so you have to contact them. There's a phone number, there's a email address. There are also resources, and I'm going to be utilizing those today, the ones that I show you, and let's start with a quick access guide and a PDF. And so if you just need a refresher, or you like things really clean and streamlined like that, then there you go. You got a 1, 2, 3. Number 1, click Create Account. Number 2, enter the access code you were provided. Of course, that's going to be in Blackboard from me. Put in this information about yourself, create a security question and answer, then go back and log in, and you'll have to get yourself, your registration done before you can go any further. They have a couple things about how to view the feedback. I find it more helpful to use the visual. There's a whole manual, but I'm going to use this and try to be as quick as I can. Okay, so you will be able to see from our syllabus and weekly guide that practice is a lot of what goes into a composition class, because that's how we improve our skill. Just like anything else, if you are an athlete, if you've done anything that's skill-based, it takes a lot of practice to improve. Practice with feedback. Otherwise, you repeat the same mistakes. So feedback is critical. Criterion is another layer of feedback that will help you. We don't use every feature in it, but we have found that the revising and feedback has been very helpful to our students at a very low cost. So here's the beginning. This is what you will see in Blackboard, only it won't be this access code. It'll be the one that I created for your course, and it'll have my name on it, and it'll say here's the access code for our class. So that's what you'll use, and you want to make sure I probably may not go to an email, but it'll be in Blackboard, and that you copy that code there that's in red. Go to the website. I usually provide a link for that. Go in as a new user, or if you already have an active account, as long as it's going to stay active, it lasts about 6 months, or even if you've had an account before, you're a returning user and you just use the new access code there, okay, and even a new subscription. But if you've used Criterion before, you're a returning user. If you've never used it, you're a new user. They're going to ask you for your access code. That's the part that I provide. You set up your account with all this information. I suggest using a username and password that is like the new one that you just learned for your MyLawson, so that you have fewer things to remember. We don't use Criterion every week. We use it a couple of times in the semester. We use it at the end, often in our department exams, and so some weeks can go by and students sometimes forget, and that's always a difficulty that you can avoid if you'll use one that you're using frequently. One thing that they skip here after you got to go back and log in with your new username and account is this is as far as you'll be able to get. You'll see my course listed. It won't be called Criterion Training. It'll be like English 101 Monday, Wednesday, or English 102 online, something like that. But you won't be able to get any further until you get your status will say something like pending, a serial number, and so you'll have to continue. You'll put your purchased serial number there. All right, once you do that, when you click on the class, you'll see 2 folders. The assignments tab is the key one. That's where you get the things that I will be grading. Activity will be, you know, once you've submitted things, you can go back and look at it. That's your activity. But when you begin, you haven't done anything, so you go to the assignment tab. Mine will look more like the name of the assignment: Essay 1, Essay 3, Department Exam Essay, maybe even a practice essay, and it will tell you how many attempts. It'll be how long, you know, this is available, start date, end date. I usually have anywhere from 3 to 5 attempts. It's usually 5. Okay. I don't use the create a plan feature because we do that together in Blackboard through outlines. Alright, the part that you would do is craft your response. So when you hit assignments and you hit click on where, you know, it says Essay 1 or Essay 3, then you have it'll say response. Make sure you read over the instructions. There'll be brief instructions. My thing is you have to use it 3 times. It means submit, revise, and submit to get your full amount of points. Okay, 3 times. If you only put it in there once, that's the very minimal. I don't even know if you read the feedback. You certainly didn't revise anything. So that's a very minimal thing. You can do it up to 5, but you have to do 3 to get full credit for using this. So then you copy paste. It can be a little funny and want you to do a CTRL, which is your control button on your keyboard, plus the letter V. Okay, so that, you know, something they want. I'll put this in the instructions, but all I want in here are your paragraphs. Don't put in your MLA heading. You don't have to put in your title. Please don't put any works cited page. It will just read those as errors. Just your paragraphs. And by the time we get to this point, your 5 full paragraphs should be done. And this is the last kind of editing revision, check off on your grammar and things like that before you turn it in for a major essay grade. It says paragraphing may be stripped out, so just make sure once you do it in there that you know, add some spacing as needed between. Remember, this is not MLA format grade. This is just so we can read this, and then when it's right, click OK. They remind you that they cannot check for the things that we would be checking in a peer review, that I would be checking for in my own draft check, okay, that has its own grade. It cannot tell you if your introductory paragraph creates interest, has a thesis, things like that. It cannot tell you if you use topic sentences correctly. It cannot tell if your supporting ideas are convincing or interesting, or that you've used enough details. It cannot evaluate how good your concluding paragraph is, or how your transitional words made it flow. That's why it's the other parts of the feedback process, instructor review and peer review, are so critical. That's not the point of this. Okay. Once you've submitted it, you may or may not see a score. A lot of times I don't put that in there because students think, oh, 5 out of 6, my essay's perfect. You could be on the completely wrong topic. You could have a lot of significant content issues. It doesn't evaluate that. It's just looking at basically grammar and things like that. So what you want is the feedback analysis. Anything that shows up as an error that you're unsure about, okay, there's a writer's handbook. And it's just a real quick thing where it'll explain, oh, what a run-on sentence is, or what a subject-verb agreement error is, and what's correct, so that you know how to correct it. What you want is that very specific trait feedback for your essay. There are going to be 5 categories. Organization and development is there. It just kind of highlights things, and look how it notices that first sentence, expecting that, like I will be, to be your topic sentence. By now you'd have already gotten feedback on that. What you're really interested in here is looking at grammar, usage, mechanics, and possibly style. Style can help you pull up and notice if you're repeating the same words over and over, things like that. So when you do your drop-down menu, and then you see some highlights. If you click on possessive errors like they did, it'll highlight the possible error. When you put your mouse over it, it tells you what might be the problem, that it needs an apostrophe to show possession. And then again, you still could go to the writer's handbook and see some more about that if you think it might be correct. Everything it notes is not necessarily an error. This is computer generated. So, but it's noting things that look like possible errors. What I've found is students that use this do reduce the number of errors. But once you have found all these, you click on the bottom left, click here to revise, and you'll get kind of a dual panel. We're not going to do the reviewer thing here. Let's see, let's go here. You'll get the dual panel where you'll see the original, and then you have a chance to type in the correction if you've determined that yes, that oops, that was an error. I see that now. I wasn't sure if I should have a comma or whatever. You fix it, and then you can work your way down through the grammar usage, all of those, each category. And once you've made all the corrections that you want to make, then you hit submit. Don't hit submit after just one correction. Make sure you've gone through all of the error feedback on the left, enter all of your corrections that you want to make on the right, then you hit submit. By doing that, you have a submitted draft and a revised draft. That will get you a B, 40 to 43 out of 50, just because you actually used the software to make corrections on your draft. However, you can still tweak it. There may still be an issue, and you can take a look again and see if you want to resubmit it. And just a reminder again that it can't help you with the content. It only can help you with kind of grammar type issues. We don't use it to review a peer essay, so skip that. So a lot of the other things. But once you've submitted things, it will always be in there, okay, from anywhere. So it's really cool. You know, if you accidentally lost your like a Word document or something, but you had submitted it to Criterion, anywhere you can get into the internet, you can go in and you can recover all the attempts that you have submitted, the original one, the revised one, everything into your activity tab. And that's available to you as long as the class, during the class term. So that's great to be able to have that in there. So again, remember, it takes a lot of practice. This is an effective tool. It costs very little money. If you wait too late or too close to the time to purchase, you may not get your code in time. Okay, you need to, from a week to 2 weeks out before a final draft is due, you need to get that Criterion code purchased through the bookstore online. I think primarily they mail the little card with the code on it to you, and so that can take some time. So if you wait till Friday night, Saturday night or something, and then the essays due Sunday night, and go, oh, I don't have Criterion, Miss Duncan. Well, then you miss those points, and you can't go back Monday or Tuesday after it was due and say, oh, I'm getting Criterion, can I go back and do it? Because that assignment is over. It was for revising before the major essay assignment was due. You can just use it from, moving forward, but you can't use it going backward. Okay, so that's really important. It's $17 very well spent, and you have plenty of time between getting any kind of Pell distribution and the first week that we need to use Criterion. So in that little bit of a window, make that a priority purchase. We spend $17 a week on, a lot of things that we might could do without that week. These are points. Will you fail the class if you don't have Criterion? Not from most of the assignments, but they do require it for the department exam, so you could be held up from your passing the department exam, which is a key thing at the end, because they require that score to be in Criterion. So you're going to have to buy it at some point. It's best to buy it early so that you get all the points from it. It's so easy to get the points, and it helps you have a better essay. Okay, I hope that tells you everything. I believe that tells you everything you need to know about Criterion, why we use it, how we use it, and how to get the points for it.